Hip hip hooray! It's creme brulee. Hello and welcome to Big Friendly Grub. I hope you're doing well, you beautiful, beautiful people. Now, if you've been watching the channel for a little while, you may have seen for the past few videos this little poster behind me, which was sent to me by my fantastic friends Stiv and Laura, who you may have seen on the channel before. Well, you would have seen Stiv on the channel before. You may have heard Laura on the channel before, just off to the side. She doesn't want to be on the camera, but she was being the timekeeper on the Death Nut Challenge. So, great memories there. Anyway, this poster is what they sent to me for my birthday back in January, and it is 100 bakes to make at home. It is a scratch-off poster, and while I've done a lot of the things on here before, there's also a lot of things I haven't done before. So I thought it would be great to start scratching some things off of this, and I thought it would be a lovely idea. Actually, it was put to me that it would be a really nice idea that if you guys picked up this poster as well, I'll put a link to where you can get it on Amazon, and we can kind of work through it together. Now, I put up a poll on Twitter a little while ago with 4 options that I asked people to see what they wanted me to do first, basically. And the answer was, well, let me pick up the camera and show you. It was right here. It was creme brulee. Now, if you don't know what creme brulee is, that basically means burnt cream. But it's not burnt cream as such. It is a custard dish with a lovely sugary top that has been caramelized and gives it a lovely crunchy top that you break through, and it's just delicious. I've tried making it a couple of times before. It's come out okay, but not perfect. So, 3rd time's the charm, right? But there's loads and loads of other interesting things on here, like pinwheel biscuits, custard tarts, which was another option. There's Eccles cake, lots of traditional like British dishes on here. There's also Pop-Tarts, which was another option I put up and people were interested in, but creme brulee came first, but I definitely want to try making homemade Pop-Tarts because that'll be really interesting as well. So yeah, I thought this would be a really nice idea for us to work through together, and any recipes that I've done before that are on here and are already on the channel, I'm going to start putting them in a 100 bakes playlist, and hopefully by the end of this we will have a playlist full of all of these 100 recipes. It might take a little while, but I'm excited to give it a go because there's lots of things on here I haven't tried before. So hopefully we can learn how to do them together. So I've talked enough. Let's get started with creme brulee, 3rd time lucky. Right, for a creme brulee, first thing we need to do is make a custard. So for that, to start off with, you can see over here, I've got a pan over here, and in that, it's got 600 millilitres of double cream. And I've just got that over a medium-high heat, which I'm going to bring it up to a gentle simmer. Not a boil, we don't want it boiling, we just want to bring it up to a gentle simmer, usually with like just some bubbling starting around the edges of the cream. So I've got that on the go already, and while that is heating up, I've got 2 bowls here, which I'm going to separate out 6 eggs into, because we only want the yolks, not the whites, because we're making a custard. So I'm going to do this using my favoured method, which is just breaking eggs into a bowl, just getting in with my hands and getting underneath the yolk and separate out the egg white that way. It's messier, but it's far more efficient, I find. You're less likely to crack a yolk. He says this, he'll probably crack one now. There are gadgets for this, but why buy a gadget when you've got the best gadgets available to you? Hands. But of course, if your hand mobility isn't great, then by all means, use a gadget. So there we go, 6 egg yolks all separated out. Egg whites we don't need today, so I'm going to pop these into the fridge. Maybe I'll make a nice eaten mess with them, using them to make a nice meringue, but we don't need those right now. Just giving my cream a quick stir, just so hopefully the bottom doesn't burn. Now in with our egg yolks, I'm going to pop in 800 grams of caster sugar. I'm using golden caster sugar. If you don't have golden caster sugar, just normal caster sugar is absolutely fine. Just going to get in here and I'm going to whisk this all together until this becomes nice and smooth. Right, those eggs and sugar are well combined. I'm just going to pop in half a tablespoon of vanilla extract for some lovely flavour. Just combine that in. Right, my cream has come up to a simmer. Oh, and that's my camera steaming up. Right, just move that off the heat because I don't want that to come to a boil and boil over. You can see there is some bubbles around the edge. Well, you can't now because my camera's steamed up again. But trust me, there are bubbles around that edge. Right, I've got myself a sieve and I'm just going to start putting some of that cream through the sieve, not all of it, because I don't want to scramble my eggs to start off with. So just going to mix some of this in a bit at a time, just to help temper those eggs. Using the sieve will help stop any like lumps of fat or skin that might have formed on your cream. And we just keep doing that until all the cream is combined. Once you get some of it in, you can do a little bit more of the cream at a time, because these would have already started to temper and your risk of scrambling will have passed. There we go, that's all my eggs, cream and sugar combined. So I'm just going to pour this into a jug because I want this easier to pour into my ramekins. Right, next I've got 3 ramekins in a roasting tin, which is going to become our bain-marie or water bath. These are quite big ramekins, so I'm only using 3 of them. If you've got smaller ramekins, use more of them. But these should be sufficient for my mixture. So I'm just going to pour my custard in between these evenly. That is almost perfect, but not quite. But none of us are perfect, so that is absolutely okay. Now you can see on the top here, there's a lot of bubbles. So I don't want those, because that will cause some cracking and splitting, and it won't create a nice smooth custard. So I'm going to skim off any airy bubbles off the top. Then I'm going to pour in some boiling water in and around those ramekins so they all cook nice and evenly. And those go into the oven at about 145 degrees C, that's about 300 degrees Fahrenheit, for roughly 30 to 35 minutes. Okay, it's been 35 minutes, woo, steam. And these are, oh, I can't see because my glasses have steamed up. These are looking not bad. There's still a little bit of cracking around here, which is annoying, but those have risen up nicely. I'm going to very, very carefully give them a bit of a wobble. They've still got a bit of a wobble in the middle, which is what I want. These are looking not bad, definitely better than my previous attempt. I'm annoyed about this cracking around the edge. Probably what I would suggest is before you pour them into the ramekins, scoop off that airy top then, and then also do it again when you pour them into the ramekins, and hopefully you can avoid what's going on here. But these two look pretty good. It's just this one, a little bit of coming away from the edge. But I will take that. Right, I've taken these out of the tray and coming a bit closer so you can see what's going on. So a little bit of cracking around the edge, but not masses. Not looking too bad. This one has a little bit, but I must confess, when I was taking this out of the bain-marie, I dropped it. So that's why it's got a bit of cracking around it. Don't drop your creme brulees. But this one looks pretty good. And this is the one that had the least air bubbles on the top earlier. But on the whole, these are definitely better than ones before. So these are going to go into the fridge until they're completely set, probably about 2 hours, I reckon, but we will see. Right, these have had a couple of hours in the fridge to set up, and they've set pretty well, especially this one. This is the one that wasn't quite so airy, but even the ones that were have set up quite nicely. Not quite as nice on the top as this one, but they've still come out pretty darn well. I'm pretty happy with those. So all that's left to do now is the fun part. Well, apart from eating them, of course, that's the most fun part, but we now get to put on the sugar and create the burnt top for our creme brulee. So I'm going to use some of my golden caster sugar from earlier, but you could use Demerara sugar as well, granulated sugar. They're a bit more cool, so they might be a bit more difficult to caramelize, but they'll still work. So I'm going to pop some over the top as evenly as I possibly can. Now I'm going to do this the really fun way, which is with a chef's blowtorch. But if you don't have one of these, you could do it under the grill. Just keep an eye on it, make sure you don't burn it. So off with the safety, back on, and I'm just going to go over this until the tops start to caramelize nicely. There we go. Of the 3, I think that one's probably got the best distribution of caramel across the top. These 2 are a bit darker, but overall I'm happy with those. I just need to leave them to cool for a moment for that caramel to sit on top, and then I can break into one, which is, okay, maybe that's the most fun part. It's just a fun dessert, okay? So I'm going to leave those to cool. There we go. We've got 3 creme brulees. The tops have set now because if I do this, might be able to hear. I'm going to come in closer so you can hear. It's actually worked out well because there's 3 different levels of caramelization here. We've got fairly lightly caramelized, somewhat in the middle, and quite dark and thick. This sort of caramelization, then you just do a thin layer, that sort of caramelization, a thicker layer. But it's time to do the fun part, which is break into this. So which one should I break into? So I think I'm going to go for this one just because I think it looks the nicest. Let's go in and give it a nice 1, 2, 3. There we go. Let's see how that texture's come out. That's not bad actually. Fairly nice texture on that. Right, I'm going to move away from this and give it a bit of a taste. Right, here we go. Here is my creme brulee. So I am going to not waste any more time. I'm going to give this a try. So I'm going to get some of that custard, some of that top. It's a real nice wobble on it. Just give it a go. Absolutely love creme brulee. It's so good. That's really nice. It's come out really nicely. The custard's nice and creamy. That's a nice level of caramelization. It's come out really nicely. The darker caramels will probably be thicker, slightly more bitter, but again, that's not necessarily a bad thing if that's how you like it. So, this is just so good. So I don't want to muck about for too longer, but that's come out really nicely. I'm pleased with those. Those are definitely my best attempts so far. I can still do better, but as far as creme brulees go, they look right, they certainly taste right. I'm just happy with those. So that is a nice first go on our 100 bakes to make at home. So you can see it's a little bit tricky. There's a few nuances that you need to get that right, but hopefully from watching me you can kind of like learn where to tweak it. I think trying to scoop off any like air bubbles and things like that, maybe give it a tap at some point to try and knock out all the air bubbles. That'll help as well. It's just one of those things, the more you make it, the better you'll get at it. 3rd time lucky, that's come out really well for me. But I can still do better. But it goes to show, it's not something to be scared about, something to give it a go. So I certainly hope you give it a go. If you want to pick up one of these posters, I'm going to stick it in the description. Let's work on it together, see how we do. If you do make any of these, send me a photo, hit me up on Twitter or Instagram, I'm on both. And if you attempt these, let me know, tag me in it, and we can see how you do. If you do better than me, don't tell anyone. I'm just kidding. But however you do, just tag me in the post, let me know how you get on, and let's try and work through this together. So I'm going to create a playlist with anything on here that I've done already and add the creme brulee to it, and hopefully we can add into that over time. But that was a really nice one to get started off with. Bit of a challenge, but it's come out really well, and I'm going to go off and finish this. So that's it for Big Friendly Grub this time. Hope you enjoyed it, hope you found it useful, hope you found it entertaining, all of those things. If you did, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell to find out when new videos are going up, and I will see you next time on Big Friendly Grub. Bye! I almost forgot. We can now scratch off our first panel on here. So here goes creme brulee. We'll use this very old 10p piece. Here we go, creme brulee, done.